Welcome to Divorces in North Carolina, the reality of domestic violence. Have you ever wondered how deep the scars of domestic violence run and how they can impact the lives of survivors? Let's dive into the reality of this social ill that casts a long and dark shadow over our society. Domestic violence is a pervasive issue that affects millions of lives. Each year, 45 million women and 1 in 9 men in the United States bear the brunt of domestic violence at the hands of their partners. But what is domestic violence? It's a pattern of willful intimidation, physical or sexual assault, and abusive behavior in any relationship. It's a weapon used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over the other. It isn't always visible, but the damage it inflicts is profound and long-lasting. If you are getting value from this video, please share with a victim of abuse. This cycle of abuse is not limited to any gender or age group. Men and women alike have experienced sexual violence, physical violence, and stalking by an intimate partner during their lifetime. The tendrils of domestic violence reach into all corners of our society, affecting people from all walks of life, and it doesn't stop there. Over 2/3 of all marriages experience violence at least twice. The horrifying reality is that children are not spared either. They bear witness to this violence and in many cases become victims themselves. The impact of domestic violence is far-reaching. The emotional, psychological, and physical toll it takes on victims is immeasurable. It seeps into every aspect of their lives, casting a shadow over their health, happiness, and potential for growth. But here's the kicker. These are not just statistics. Behind every number is a human being with a story, with dreams and aspirations, with a life that deserves respect and dignity. These numbers represent real people, and it's high time we recognize the gravity of this issue. Understanding domestic violence is the first step towards fighting it. The battle, however, is far from over. As we move forward, let's unmask the reality of this issue, and together, let's strive for a world where no one has to live in fear within their own home. When the home becomes a battlefield, how does one find the courage and means to escape? The path to freedom might seem steep, but it's not insurmountable. Divorcing an abuser can indeed be a daunting process, layered with obstacles. But remember, every step taken is a stride towards safety and peace. The first step is to have a detailed plan. It's like having a roadmap in an unfamiliar city. It might include saving money for legal expenses, finding a secure place to stay, or even planning the right time to leave. The key is to anticipate and prepare for the challenges ahead. One of the biggest challenges one might face is the fear of retaliation from the abuser. This is where the power of knowledge comes into play. It's crucial to know where to turn for help in your city or county. Local domestic violence organizations can provide support, resources, and even safe shelter. In the age of technology, help is literally at your fingertips. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is a lifeline available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This toll-free number, 1-800-799-7233, can provide immediate support to anyone who is a victim of abuse. But knowledge is just one piece of the puzzle. It's equally important to have the courage and resilience to follow through with your plan. It's normal to feel scared or uncertain. After all, change is never easy. But always remember, courage isn't the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Divorcing an abuser is more than just a legal process. It's about reclaiming your life and your freedom. It's about standing up against intimidation and violence. It's about sending a strong message that abuse, in any form, is unacceptable. And most importantly, it's about understanding and truly believing that you deserve better. You deserve respect and love, not fear and violence. Remember, you are not alone. Help is available and there is a way out. You deserve a life free from fear. You deserve to be safe. And with the right plan, the right resources, and the right support, you can achieve just that. So, what is a domestic violence protective order, and how does one obtain it in North Carolina? A Domestic Violence Protective Order, or DVPO, is a legal provision designed to protect survivors of domestic abuse. Yet, for a DVPO to be granted, something must have occurred that qualifies as an act of domestic violence. This could mean a range of actions, from physical or sexual assault to abusive behavior that causes fear and emotional distress. It could also involve instances of rape or other sexual offenses. All these actions are considered severe enough to warrant a DVPO. To qualify for a DVPO, the person seeking protection must show that they and the alleged abuser have had a personal relationship. This could mean they are current or former partners, two individuals of the opposite sex who live together or used to live together, or two people who have a child together. The relationship could also be between parents and children, or even between grandparents and grandchildren. As an abused person, it's essential to provide evidence of at least one instance of abuse by someone who fits into the above categories. If you can do this, you can obtain a DVPO. However, it's important to remember that, even with a DVPO, you must remain vigilant and cautious. So what does a DVPO actually do? Well, it provides a range of protections. It can require the abuser to surrender all firearms, ammunition, and gun permits, and prevent them from buying or possessing a gun. It can also require the abuser to pay temporary child support, grant the victim possession of the party's car, and even evict the abuser from the party's residence. Moreover, a DVPO can prohibit the abuser from threatening the victim's family or household members, and from contacting any children in the victim's care. It can also prevent the abuser from showing up at the children's school or daycare, or at the victim's home, workplace, or school. A judge can also add any additional requirements they deem necessary. A DVPO can even award temporary custody of the party's children to the victim. However, this custody is only temporary. Victims must provide further evidence and make a claim later for child support, child custody, or alimony. In conclusion, a domestic violence protective order can be a crucial tool in protecting victims of domestic abuse. But remember, the journey doesn't end with obtaining a DVPO. It's vital to stay vigilant, get to a safe place, seek advice, and take your children with you if possible. Hire an attorney and ensure you have all necessary documents and property, as you may not be able to return home later. Protection is available through the law, but it's crucial to understand how to navigate it effectively. A DVPO in hand, but what does it really mean for the survivor? Well, let's dive into this. A Domestic Violence Protective Order, or DVPO, is a legal document issued by a court in North Carolina designed to protect survivors of domestic violence. But it's not a magic shield. It's more like a set of rules that the abuser is legally obliged to follow. When a DVPO is issued, it requires the abuser to surrender all firearms, ammunition, and gun permits. It prohibits them from buying or possessing a gun. This is a crucial step toward ensuring physical safety. The DVPO also grants the survivor temporary rights. It can require the abuser to pay temporary child support. It can grant the survivor possession of the party's car, and it can even lead to the abuser being evicted from the party's residence. But it's important to remember that these are temporary measures. They're not permanent solutions. The DVPO also aims to protect the survivor and their family from threat and harassment. It prohibits the abuser from threatening the family or household members of the victim, contacting children who the survivor has in their care, and showing up at the children's school or daycare, the survivor's home, workplace, or school. And yet, even with a DVPO in place, the survivor must remain vigilant. The abuser is prohibited from doing these things, but that doesn't mean they won't try. Now, one key thing a DVPO can do is award temporary custody of the party's children to the victim of domestic violence. But remember, this custody is only temporary. The survivor still has to provide evidence and make a claim later for child support, child custody, or alimony. So a DVPO does a lot. It imposes restrictions on the abuser and grants temporary rights to the survivor. But it doesn't do everything. For one, it doesn't guarantee safety. It's a legal order, not a physical barrier. The survivor still needs to take precautions to ensure their own safety and the safety of their children. And it doesn't resolve everything legally. It's a quick, temporary solution designed to provide immediate protection. But for long-term solutions, the survivor will need to take further legal action. This might mean filing for divorce, seeking permanent custody of children, or applying for alimony. So while a DVPO is a critical step towards safety and freedom, it's just that, a step. It's part of a larger journey towards rebuilding and reclaiming life after domestic abuse. And remember, the journey doesn't have to be walked alone. There are resources available, people ready to help. Attorneys who specialize in domestic violence and divorce, hotlines and local agencies can provide valuable guidance and support. A DVPO is a powerful tool, but it's not the end of the journey. It's a promise of protection, a declaration of rights, and a beacon lighting the path towards a safer, healthier future. With the legal shield in place, what's next on the path to freedom and safety? In the face of domestic violence, your safety and the safety of your children is paramount. Once you have the Domestic Violence Protective Order, or DVPO, in place, it's time to think about the next steps. One of the most crucial steps is finding a safe place to stay. This could be a friend's house, a family member's home, or a domestic violence shelter. Remember, these are temporary measures while you work towards a more permanent solution. Legal aid is another essential element. An attorney can guide you through the complexities of the legal system, ensuring your rights are upheld and helping you navigate the divorce process. If finances are a concern, there are organizations that offer free or low-cost legal assistance to domestic violence survivors. When you decide to leave, it's important to do so for legally valid reasons. This is because leaving without a legal reason can impact your ability to receive alimony later on. An attorney can provide advice tailored to your unique situation. Don't forget to take your children with you when you leave. They too need to be in a safe environment, away from the threat of violence. It might be a difficult transition, but remember, it's a step towards their safety and well-being. Lastly, secure your important papers and property. This includes identification documents, financial records, medical records, and any other documents that might be necessary in the future. It may be challenging to retrieve these items later, especially if it means returning to a dangerous environment. Remember, each step on this path may seem challenging, but every move you make is a step towards a life free from fear. It's a journey towards reclaiming your life and, more importantly, your peace. The journey to safety may be challenging, but every step taken is a step towards a life free from fear. In the face of domestic violence, knowledge, courage, and action are our best weapons. As we arrive at the end of our discussion, let's take a moment to reflect on the crucial information we've shared. Domestic violence, a willful pattern of intimidation, physical or sexual assault, and abusive behavior, is an unfortunate reality for far too many people. Each year, 45 million women and 1 in 9 men in the United States endure the painful reality of being battered by their partners. This is not a problem confined to any one demographic or relationship type. It pervades all corners of society, affecting both men and women in various forms of relationships. In such circumstances, separating from an abusive partner is a daunting yet necessary step. The process of divorce can be fraught with challenges, particularly when the other party is an abuser. It is vital to have a detailed plan in place, to know where to seek help, and to be aware of the resources available in one city or county. One such lifeline is the Domestic Violence Hotline, a number worth memorizing: 1-800-799-7233. Securing a Domestic Violence Protective Order, or DVPO, is another critical step for those facing abuse. In North Carolina, a DVPO can be obtained if one can demonstrate a personal relationship with the abuser and provide evidence of at least one instance of abuse. The protective order can enforce several protective measures, including the surrender of firearms by the abuser, temporary child support, possession of shared vehicles, and eviction of the abuser from the shared residence. However, it's important to remember that a DVPO is not a cure-all. It does not guarantee safety. It does not automatically grant permanent custody of children or resolve issues of alimony. It is a tool, a measure of protection, but it requires the victim to remain vigilant and proactive in safeguarding their own well-being and that of their family. If you find yourself in such a situation, it's crucial to do everything possible to ensure your safety and that of your family. This might involve obtaining a DVPO, relocating to a safe place, seeking professional advice, and taking legal action. Hiring an attorney, gathering important documents, and making strategic decisions about leaving the shared home can all contribute to a safer future. Remember, you're not alone in this fight. There are countless resources and support systems out there. Use them, reach out, be brave. You have the right to live a life free from fear and violence. The fight against domestic violence is a collective one. Together, we can ensure that no one has to live in fear in their own home.